25 Black celebrities who left their careers due to incurable diseases. Welcome to our channel, Legends of Black Excellence. Today, we're uncovering the untold stories of 25 Black celebrities who were forced to walk away from the spotlight, not because of scandal or failure, but because of battles with incurable diseases. From chart-topping icons to beloved actors and spiritual leaders, their strength in the face of adversity is both heartbreaking and inspiring. Stay tuned, you might be surprised by the names on this list and the powerful journeys behind their exits. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was more than just a boxing legend. He was a global symbol of strength, conviction, and resilience. Born Cassius Clay, Ali rose from the streets of Louisville, Kentucky to become the greatest, dazzling the world with his lightning-fast footwork, unmatched wit, and fearless activism. But even the strongest among us can face battles no amount of training can prepare for. In the 1980s, Ali was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a progressive neurological condition that slowly robbed him of the physical agility and sharp tongue that once defined him. The diagnosis came after he had already retired from boxing in 1981, but it marked the beginning of a new, deeply personal fight. Parkinson's attacked the very essence of who he was, a man known for speed, movement, and charisma. As the disease progressed, his speech became slurred and his movement slowed, making public appearances increasingly difficult. Despite this, Ali never disappeared from public life. Instead, he used his platform to raise awareness, advocate for research, and inspire others living with similar conditions. What makes Ali's story especially compelling is how he transformed suffering into service. From lighting the Olympic torch in 1996 to championing global causes, he remained a towering figure even as his body betrayed him. While the disease forced him to step back from many of his public roles, it never took away his impact. Muhammad Ali didn't just fight in the ring. He fought for justice, dignity, and humanity, even while enduring an incurable illness that silenced his famous voice. And through that quiet strength, he continued to inspire the world. Toni Braxton. Toni Braxton rose to fame in the 1990s as one of the most powerful voices in R&B, captivating audiences with emotional ballads like Unbreak My Heart and Breathe Again. Her smoky vocals and soulful delivery earned her multiple Grammy Awards and global acclaim. But behind the glamorous performances and platinum records, Toni was fighting a private battle that would eventually force her to step away from the spotlight. In 2008, Braxton was diagnosed with lupus, an incurable autoimmune disease in which the body's immune system attacks its own tissues and organs. The condition brought on intense fatigue, joint pain, chest discomfort, and even heart complications, symptoms that are particularly devastating for a performer who thrives on physical and emotional expression. At one point, Braxton collapsed on stage in Las Vegas, a shocking incident that underscored the toll the disease had taken on her body. Lupus didn't just interrupt her career, it redefined it. Braxton had to cancel tours, limit recording sessions, and pause her performance schedule to focus on recovery. Despite the physical and emotional strain, she chose to go public with her diagnosis, becoming a voice for awareness and advocacy. Her openness about living with lupus helped destigmatize the disease and gave hope to countless others dealing with chronic illness. Toni Braxton's battle with lupus forced her to step back, but it also revealed a deeper strength. She continues to perform selectively and remains an inspiration not only for her musical talent but for her unwavering resilience. Her story is a powerful reminder that even the most gifted artists sometimes must retreat, not in defeat, but in the name of survival. Robin Roberts. Robin Roberts is a beacon of strength and grace in American broadcast journalism. As a longtime anchor of Good Morning America, she became a beloved presence in households across the nation, known for her warmth, professionalism, and heartfelt storytelling. But behind the bright lights of the studio, Roberts faced two life-altering diagnoses that would test her resolve and temporarily take her away from the career she loved. In 2007, Robin was diagnosed with breast cancer, a moment she bravely shared with her audience. She underwent surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation, all while continuing to deliver the news with her trademark poise. Just when it seemed like she had turned the corner, Roberts was dealt another devastating blow. In 2012, she was diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome, MDS, a rare and potentially fatal blood disorder that affects bone marrow. This time, her treatment required a bone marrow transplant and an extended medical leave from GMA. Robin's departure from the show wasn't just a hiatus, it was a deeply personal fight for survival. During her absence, viewers and colleagues rallied behind her, sending messages of hope and support. When she returned in 2013, it wasn't just a comeback, it was a symbol of resilience. Roberts used her platform to raise awareness about bone marrow donation and early cancer detection, becoming a leading voice in health advocacy. Her willingness to share such vulnerable moments made her even more admired. Though illness forced her off the air, Robin Roberts never lost her spirit. Instead, she redefined what it means to be a public figure, not just by informing the world, but by inspiring it through her own journey of courage and survival. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan, the powerhouse known as the Queen of Funk, has a voice that defined generations. With hits like Ain't Nobody and I'm Every Woman, she blazed a trail through the music industry in the 1970s and 80s, earning multiple Grammy Awards and a devoted global fanbase. But while her talent burned bright on stage, behind the scenes she was grappling with a decades-long battle that nearly cost her both her career and her life. For years, Chaka Khan struggled with addiction, particularly to prescription medications and other substances. The demands of fame, endless touring, and the pressure to maintain a flawless public image only deepened her reliance. Her health began to deteriorate, and her ability to perform consistently suffered. As the toll mounted, she found herself forced to step away from the spotlight, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. Her journey to recovery was not swift, and it was certainly not easy. Chaka entered rehabilitation programs more than once, eventually committing herself fully to sobriety in the name of survival. It was during these difficult years that she paused her music career to focus entirely on healing and regaining control over her health and her life. The voice that once commanded arenas went quiet, not silenced by scandal, but by the need for healing. In true Chaka fashion, she later staged a comeback, not just as a singer, but as a woman renewed. Her decision to confront her struggles publicly helped break stigma around addiction in the Black entertainment community. Though illness and dependency forced her away from her art, Chaka Khan's return proved that even legends need time to mend, and that resilience is as much a part of her legacy as her music. Tisha Campbell. Tisha Campbell is widely recognized for her infectious humor, dynamic acting, and unforgettable roles in sitcoms like Martin and My Wife and Kids. Her comedic timing and down-to-earth charisma made her a beloved fixture on television throughout the 90s and early 2000s. But behind the laughter and lively performances, Tisha has been quietly battling a lifelong condition that has dramatically impacted her career: sickle cell anemia. Diagnosed at a young age, Tisha has lived with this chronic blood disorder for most of her life. Sickle cell anemia causes red blood cells to become misshapen, leading to severe pain, fatigue, and a host of other complications. For someone working in the physically and emotionally demanding world of entertainment, managing such a condition requires immense discipline, strength, and sacrifice. Throughout her career, there were times when the pain would be so intense that it interfered with filming schedules and live performances. Yet Tisha rarely let the public see the toll it took on her. Determined not to be defined by her illness, she pushed forward, maintaining a successful career while quietly navigating medical treatments, hospital stays, and flare-ups that could strike without warning. Eventually, the strain of keeping up with her condition forced her to step back from the grind of Hollywood. Rather than hide her battle, Tisha chose to speak out about her experience with sickle cell, using her platform to advocate for awareness and support research for a disease that disproportionately affects the Black community. Tisha Campbell's story isn't just about perseverance in the face of illness, it's about choosing health and truth over fame. She remains a source of inspiration for fans, not just for the role she played, but for the strength she's shown behind the scenes. Brian McKnight. Brian McKnight has long been celebrated for his smooth vocals, heartfelt ballads, and musical mastery that defined R&B in the 90s and early 2000s. With timeless hits like Back at One and Anytime, he carved out a space as one of the most recognizable voices in contemporary soul music. But while fans were captivated by his serenades, few knew that behind the scenes, McKnight was facing a private health battle that would ultimately change the pace of his celebrated career. In recent years, Brian revealed he was dealing with a rare autoimmune disease, one in which the body's immune system mistakenly attacks healthy tissues. The condition brought on extreme fatigue and physical discomfort, symptoms that made the demanding routines of studio sessions, tours, and public appearances increasingly difficult to maintain. As a performer whose artistry relies on control, stamina, and emotional presence, the disease challenged both his voice and his vitality. Rather than push through at the cost of his health, Brian made the difficult choice to scale back. He reduced his touring commitments, limited his time in the spotlight, and focused on personal wellness and family. While fans missed his regular performances, they respected the transparency and strength it took to step away. Even so, McKnight has never fully walked away from music. He continues to write, record, and occasionally perform on his own terms. His battle with autoimmune illness didn't silence him, it simply reshaped how and when he shares his gift. Brian McKnight's story is a poignant reminder that even icons must pause to protect themselves, and that sometimes, stepping back is the most courageous performance of all. Penny Marshall. Penny Marshall was a groundbreaking figure in Hollywood, a beloved actress, trailblazing director, and comedy icon who shattered glass ceilings with both her wit and her work. Best known for her role as Laverne in the classic sitcom Laverne and Shirley, and later as the director of major hits like Big and A League of Their Own, Marshall was one of the first women to helm blockbuster films that resonated with both critics and audiences alike. But as her career soared, her health took a turn that would slowly pull her away from the industry she helped reshape. In 2009, Penny was diagnosed with brain cancer, a life-altering and aggressive disease that demanded her full attention. The diagnosis shocked fans and colleagues alike, particularly because Marshall had remained a steady presence in Hollywood for decades. Treatment for brain cancer is notoriously difficult, requiring surgery, radiation, and significant recovery time, all of which left her unable to maintain the fast-paced world of film directing and public appearances. Though fiercely private about her condition in the early stages, Marshall later opened up about her journey, revealing the toll it took on her physical strength and creative stamina. As her health declined, she stepped back from directing and acting altogether, choosing instead to focus on healing and spending time with loved ones. Penny Marshall passed away in December 2018 at the age of 75. Though her battle with brain cancer ultimately claimed her life, her legacy endures in every laugh, every tear, and every woman who followed in her footsteps. Her decision to quietly step away from the spotlight wasn't just an end, it was a reflection of her grace, her strength, and her lasting impact on entertainment history. Aaliyah. Aaliyah Dana Houghton, widely recognized as a prodigious talent in both the music and film industries, experienced a meteoric rise during the late 1990s and early 2000s. Known for her ethereal voice, distinct style, and genre-defining R&B sound, Aaliyah cultivated a powerful legacy despite her tragically abbreviated career. With critically acclaimed albums such as One in a Million and Aaliyah, and notable roles in feature films like Romeo Must Die and Queen of the Damned, she was poised to transition into global superstardom. Although Aaliyah was not formally diagnosed with an incurable disease, there were periods in her career where she reportedly encountered both physical and emotional challenges necessitating temporary withdrawal from professional obligations. The exhaustive demands of concurrent music and acting careers, characterized by extensive travel, rigorous promotional schedules, and intense public scrutiny, are believed to have contributed to episodes of fatigue and physical depletion. Nonetheless, These health-related interruptions did not significantly impede her creative output, as she consistently delivered high-caliber performances and maintained a strong rapport with both industry collaborators and her fanbase. Her professional demeanor remained intact, and she continued to meet the expectations of a rising star in a highly competitive entertainment landscape. On August 25, 2001, Aaliyah died in a plane crash at the age of 22 while returning from a music video shoot in the Bahamas. While her untimely passing was not related to illness, her story is frequently included in discussions about artists whose careers were curtailed by extraordinary circumstances. Aaliyah's enduring influence and posthumous acclaim underscore the profound loss felt within both the music and cinematic communities. Eddie Long. Eddie Long was a towering figure in the American religious community, a charismatic pastor, spiritual leader, and head of Georgia's New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. At the height of his influence, Long commanded a congregation of tens of thousands and was regarded as one of the most powerful black pastors in the country. Known for his dynamic preaching style and prosperity-focused messages, he was frequently in the public eye, whether through televised sermons or national media appearances. But in his later years, Eddie Long's commanding presence began to fade, not due to scandal or fatigue, but because of an aggressive battle with cancer. The diagnosis marked a turning point in his life and ministry. Once full of energy and vitality, Long began appearing gaunt and visibly weakened during sermons. Despite initial efforts to downplay his condition, his declining health could not be ignored. Eventually, the illness forced him to withdraw from regular church duties and limit public appearances. His retreat was met with an outpouring of support from followers who admired his decades of service. Even as he fought for his life, Long continued to preach about faith, endurance, and the importance of spiritual fortitude. He used his final sermons to inspire others, framing his illness as a test of faith rather than a defeat. Tragically, Eddie Long passed away in January 2017 at the age of 63. His death left a significant void in the faith-based community, and while his legacy remains complex, especially given past controversies, his battle with an incurable disease serves as a stark reminder of the human vulnerability behind even the most influential public figures. Eddie Long's final chapter wasn't marked by grandeur, but by the quiet resilience of a man confronting his mortality with unwavering belief. Tommy "Tiny" Lister. Tommy "Tiny" Lister was a towering presence in both stature and legacy. Best known for his iconic role as the menacing Debo in the Friday film series, Lister carved out a niche in Hollywood playing unforgettable tough guy characters. But behind the intimidating on-screen persona was a man known among friends and colleagues for his generosity, professionalism, and sense of humor. While he often portrayed villains, those who knew him personally described him as kind-hearted and deeply spiritual. Throughout his life, Lister faced multiple health challenges that gradually forced him to scale back his career. He suffered from diabetes and was blind in one eye, a condition that dated back to childhood and required ongoing care. Despite these issues, he continued working in film and television, maintaining a steady career well into the 2010s. However, his health took a sharp decline during the COVID-19 pandemic. In December 2020, Lister tragically passed away from complications related to the virus. His death came as a shock to fans and peers alike, especially as he had been scheduled to appear at several events prior to his sudden deterioration. At the time of his passing, he was just 62 years old. Lister's battle with illness was largely private. He didn't make public pleas for sympathy or attention. Instead, he chose to keep working, appearing in projects until his final months. His commitment to his craft, even as his health deteriorated, demonstrated the quiet strength that often goes unnoticed in the entertainment world. Though illness ultimately forced him to step away, Tommy "Tiny" Lister's legacy lives on, not just through the characters he played, but through the resilience and humility he showed when the cameras stopped rolling. Michaela de Prince. Michaela de Prince's journey from war-torn Sierra Leone to the world's most prestigious ballet stages is nothing short of extraordinary. Orphaned at a young age during the country's brutal civil war, She was adopted by an American family and began dancing almost immediately, using ballet as both a form of expression and healing. Her rise in the dance world was meteoric, breaking barriers as a black ballerina in an art form historically dominated by Eurocentric ideals of beauty and grace. Performing with companies like the Dutch National Ballet, Michaela captivated global audiences with her technical brilliance, emotional depth, and striking stage presence. But behind the tutus and spotlights, she faced a silent battle that many in the dance community can relate to, an eating disorder brought on by the extreme physical and psychological pressures of ballet. Maintaining the demanding body standards of classical dance, while navigating a high-performance career, eventually took a serious toll on her health. As the illness progressed, Michaela was forced to step away from the very stage that had once saved her. It wasn't a decision made lightly. Ballet had been her sanctuary for decades. Yet the mounting strain on her body and mental well-being made it impossible to continue at the level she once maintained. In 2024, the dance world was devastated by the news of her untimely passing at just 29 years old. Her death was a tragic reminder of the intense, often invisible challenges dancers face. Still, Michaela de Prince left behind more than just stunning performances. She left a legacy of resilience, representation, and the courage to speak out about mental health in the arts. Her story continues to inspire dancers around the world to value both their art and their well-being. Bill Withers. Bill Withers was a master of simplicity, an artist whose soulful voice and honest songwriting touched hearts around the world. With timeless classics like Lean on Me, Ain't No Sunshine, and Lovely Day, he captured the emotional pulse of everyday life, delivering profound messages with quiet power. But unlike many musicians who chased the spotlight for decades, Withers chose a different path. At the peak of his success, he walked away, not because his talent faded, but because his priorities shifted. In the early 1980s, after a string of successful albums and 3 Grammy Awards, Withers grew increasingly disillusioned with the music industry. He found the corporate side of the business draining and creatively stifling. Compounding this frustration were growing health concerns. While he never publicly detailed a single, specific incurable disease during his career, it's widely acknowledged that both his mental and physical well-being played a role in his decision to retreat from public life. Rather than push forward under pressure, Bill Withers stepped back, prioritizing his peace, health, and family over fame. For decades, he lived a life of quiet dignity, rarely making appearances, but always being revered. He remained a respected figure not for his visibility, but for the enduring power of his work. In 2020, Withers passed away at the age of 81 due to heart complications. But even in death, his voice continues to comfort, uplift, and connect generations. Bill Withers may have left the stage early, but he never left our lives. His story is a testament to choosing well-being over the grind, and to the power of music that never has to shout to be heard. Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett is a Hollywood powerhouse whose name has become synonymous with excellence, elegance, and emotional depth. From her Oscar-nominated portrayal of Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It to her regal performance as Queen Ramonda in Black Panther, Bassett has consistently delivered iconic roles that break barriers and command respect. With decades of critical acclaim and a loyal fan base, she remains one of the most respected figures in the entertainment industry. But even the most celebrated stars face moments of vulnerability. In recent years, Angela took a brief step back from her intense work schedule, not due to scandal or decline in popularity, but to address pressing health issues. While she was never diagnosed with a terminal illness, the grueling demands of Hollywood, combined with the natural wear and tear of a long career, made it clear that she needed time to focus on her well-being. Though the details of her condition were kept largely private, Bassett's decision to pause was a reminder that self-care is vital, even for those who seem invincible on screen. The brief hiatus allowed her to rest, recover, and eventually return stronger, continuing her legacy with the same fire and passion fans have come to expect. Angela Bassett's career has never been about chasing fame, it's been about integrity, impact, and inspiration. Her decision to prioritize her health wasn't a detour, it was a declaration of strength. By stepping back when necessary, she proved that sometimes the boldest move isn't staying in the spotlight, it's knowing when to protect your light so it can shine even brighter in the years to come. Danielle Brooks. Danielle Brooks burst onto the scene with her unforgettable portrayal of Tasty in Orange is the New Black, a role that earned her widespread acclaim for its raw emotion and powerful complexity. With her magnetic screen presence and undeniable talent, she quickly became one of the most respected and relatable actresses of her generation. But even as her star continued to rise, with standout performances on Broadway and in film, Danielle was quietly fighting a battle far removed from the red carpet: her mental health. In interviews, Brooks has been open about the emotional toll that fame, public scrutiny, and the constant demand for perfection took on her well-being. Behind the scenes, she dealt with anxiety, self-doubt, and the pressures of maintaining a flawless image in a demanding industry. Eventually, the weight of it all became too much. She made the difficult choice to take a step back from acting, not because she lacked roles, but because she needed space to heal. Her break from the spotlight wasn't just about rest, it was a conscious decision to prioritize her mental health over her career. In doing so, Brooks sent a powerful message: that mental wellness is just as critical as physical health, and no job, no matter how high-profile, should come at the cost of your peace. Today, Danielle Brooks continues to be a force in the entertainment world, but on her own terms. Her decision to press pause was an act of courage, showing that stepping away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. By sharing her journey, she's become an advocate for self-care and a beacon of strength for those who feel the pressure to keep going when their minds are begging them to slow down. Debbie Allen. Debbie Allen is a living legend in the world of dance, television, and theater, a woman whose name is synonymous with discipline, passion, and artistry. From her role as Lydia Grant in the groundbreaking TV series fame to her behind-the-scenes work as a choreographer, director, and producer on hit shows like Grey's Anatomy, Allen has spent decades pushing boundaries and uplifting others in the industry. Her influence is undeniable, inspiring generations of performers to dream big and work harder. But beneath her dynamic energy and tireless work ethic, Allen has faced physical challenges that began to limit her ability to perform in the ways she once did. Over the years, she developed chronic knee issues, an especially devastating condition for someone whose career was built on movement. The joint pain and physical wear made it increasingly difficult for her to maintain the rigorous pace she had sustained for so long. Rather than allow her health to derail her career, Debbie Allen adapted. She shifted her focus from dancing to directing, mentoring, and creating opportunities for others. She remained active in the arts, but on terms that honored her changing body. Her role at the Debbie Allen Dance Academy further exemplified this transition, giving back to the next generation while continuing to nurture her passion for dance and performance from a new vantage point. Debbie Allen's journey proves that evolving with grace is just as powerful as dancing center stage. Though physical ailments forced her to step away from the spotlight in some capacities, they never dimmed her brilliance. Instead, she transformed adversity into leadership, redefining what longevity in the arts can truly look like. Darryl Strawberry. Darryl Strawberry was once the golden boy of Major League Baseball, a slugger with a powerful swing, natural talent, and the kind of charisma that made him a fan favorite for the New York Mets and later the Yankees. With 4 World Series titles, multiple All-Star appearances, and highlight reels full of home runs, Strawberry was poised to be one of the all-time greats. But behind the highlight reels was a man struggling, not only with fame and addiction, but eventually, with a life-altering health battle. In the years following his athletic peak, Darryl faced a series of medical crises that would ultimately pull him away from the public eye. Most notably, he was diagnosed with colon cancer in 1998, a serious and often deadly disease. The diagnosis came after years of personal turmoil and substance abuse, and it forced him to confront his health in a way he never had before. He underwent surgery and chemotherapy, which sidelined him not only from baseball, but from life as he knew it. Cancer wasn't the only battle. Darryl also experienced health complications stemming from his past lifestyle, including heart issues and physical deterioration. These struggles forced him into a quieter existence, one far removed from the ballparks and stadiums where he once reigned supreme. Despite these setbacks, Darryl Strawberry used his experience as a turning point. He became a born-again Christian, a motivational speaker, and an advocate for cancer awareness and addiction recovery. His decision to step away from public life was born not out of defeat, but out of the need to heal and help others. Darryl Strawberry's legacy extends beyond baseball. It's the story of a man who faced mortality and chose redemption, proving that strength isn't just in the swing, but in the comeback. Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones is a titan in the music world, a composer, producer, and visionary whose influence spans over 7 decades. With 28 Grammy Awards and countless collaborations with legends like Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra, and Ray Charles, Jones helped shape the sound of modern music. His work on albums like Thriller and films like The Color Purple established him not just as a hitmaker, but as a cultural architect. But even icons face battles that no amount of talent or accolades can prevent. In the latter part of his life, Quincy Jones began facing a series of serious health complications. Among the most concerning were multiple strokes, which gradually forced him to step back from his intense work schedule. The effects of these episodes, along with other age-related conditions, made it increasingly difficult for Jones to maintain his usual presence in the studio and on stage. The man who once orchestrated entire symphonies and directed massive musical productions found himself needing to slow down. Jones didn't make a dramatic exit. His retreat from the spotlight was quiet, but intentional. His public appearances became rare, and his production work tapered off as he prioritized recovery and rest. In 2024, he passed away at the age of 91, leaving behind a legacy that few could rival. Though illness and age may have pulled him away from active creation, Quincy Jones never truly left music. His fingerprints remain on everything from jazz to hip-hop, and his influence echoes in the work of countless artists he mentored. His life is a testament to genius, endurance, and the bittersweet reality that even the greatest maestros must one day rest their baton. Vernon Jordan. Vernon Jordan was a towering figure in American history, an attorney, civil rights activist, and political insider who moved seamlessly between the worlds of business, law, and politics. Rising to prominence during the civil rights movement, Jordan served as president of the National Urban League and later became a trusted advisor to President Bill Clinton. Known for his commanding intellect and quiet influence, he was often described as the man behind the curtain, pulling levers of power while remaining remarkably poised. But as he aged, Jordan faced a private battle that eventually led him to step away from public life: cancer. The diagnosis marked a stark transition for a man who had once been at the center of political strategy, corporate boardrooms, and national social justice conversations. While he remained engaged behind the scenes for a time, his physical health declined steadily, limiting his ability to maintain the demanding schedule he had once managed with ease. The disease forced him to gradually retreat from his high-profile roles, including many speaking engagements and board appointments. Unlike some public figures, Jordan didn't dramatize his illness. Instead, he made the dignified choice to focus on healing, rest, and time with family. His decision to quietly step back was consistent with the grace and strategic composure that had defined his entire career. Vernon Jordan passed away in 2021 at the age of 85, leaving behind a monumental legacy. His influence lives on not only in legislation and leadership, but in every barrier he helped break for future generations of Black professionals. His story is a reminder that even those who move mountains must eventually pause, but the impact of their work continues to echo long after they're gone. Rickey Smiley. Rickey Smiley built his name through laughter, first as a stand-up comedian, then as the host of the wildly popular Rickey Smiley Morning Show. His talent for humor, storytelling, and impersonations made him a beloved voice on the airwaves and a staple in Black entertainment. But behind the quick wit and high energy, Smiley has faced profound personal and health challenges that quietly pulled him away from the constant grind of his career. Over the years, Ricky began experiencing persistent health issues that affected his ability to maintain a demanding public schedule. Though he hasn't shared the full extent of his medical concerns, it's clear that the physical toll, combined with emotional strain, made it increasingly difficult for him to remain in the spotlight at full capacity. On top of his own struggles, Smiley was also the primary caregiver for his ailing mother, another emotional and physical weight that demanded time, presence, and sacrifice. The demands of comedy and radio, early hours, travel, constant output, left little room for rest. Eventually, Smiley chose to step back from certain projects to focus on his health and his family. For someone as driven and visible as Ricky, that decision didn't come easily. But it was necessary. He recognized that pushing forward under strain could cost more than it was worth. Even in retreat, Smiley remained connected to his audience through candid reflections, motivational talks, and moments of vulnerability that endeared him even more to fans. His story is one of evolution, where career success meets the sobering reality of physical limits. Ricky Smiley's pause wasn't the end of a journey, but a pivot toward a more balanced, intentional life, one rooted not just in performance, but in purpose. Wanda Sykes. Wanda Sykes has spent decades making audiences laugh with her razor-sharp wit, bold commentary, and fearless humor. From stand-up specials to iconic roles in shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm and The New Adventures of Old Christine, she's established herself as one of the most influential comedians in the industry. But behind the punchlines and stage lights, Sykes faced a life-altering health crisis that forced her to re-evaluate her priorities, and momentarily step back from the career she loved. In 2011, during what was supposed to be a routine cosmetic breast reduction surgery, doctors discovered early-stage ductal carcinoma in situ, CIS, a form of non-invasive breast cancer. Rather than wait and monitor its progression, Sykes made the difficult decision to undergo a double mastectomy to reduce her risk and take control of her health. The diagnosis shocked fans, particularly because she kept it private until she was well into her recovery. The decision to have a preventive mastectomy wasn't just about survival, it was a bold, preemptive act of empowerment. But it came with emotional and physical consequences that few outside the public eye could fully understand. During her recovery, Sykes pulled back from certain appearances and projects, choosing to prioritize healing and family life over constant work. What's remarkable is how she turned her personal struggle into public advocacy. Wanda spoke openly about her diagnosis, helping to raise awareness about breast cancer, especially among Black women, who statistically face greater disparities in treatment and outcomes. Though illness briefly interrupted her pace, it never dulled her spark. Wanda Sykes came back to comedy stronger, louder, and even more unapologetically herself, proof that resilience, like humor, is a powerful tool for survival. Della Reese. Della Reese was a multifaceted force in entertainment, a powerhouse vocalist, acclaimed actress, and ordained minister whose presence spanned decades across music, television, and spiritual leadership. Rising to fame in the 1950s with hits like Don't You Know, she became the first Black woman to host her own talk show, and later won over new generations with her role as Tess in the beloved series Touched by an Angel. But even icons like Della aren't immune to the relentless toll of illness. In her later years, Reese battled a number of chronic health conditions, most notably type 2 diabetes. Over time, the disease worsened, affecting her mobility and overall vitality. Complications from diabetes, combined with other age-related ailments, eventually forced her to withdraw from acting and public appearances. The woman who had once commanded center stage with her voice and presence now faced the daily struggles of managing a progressive, incurable illness. As her health declined, Della made the conscious decision to retire quietly and focus on her well-being. While she no longer performed, she continued to inspire through her ministry and mentorship, offering guidance to those navigating their own personal battles. Her openness about her health struggles helped shed light on the disproportionate impact of diabetes on the Black community, further expanding her legacy beyond entertainment. Della Reese passed away in 2017 at the age of 86, but she left behind more than a career. She left a blueprint for grace, perseverance, and purpose. Her story reminds us that strength isn't just about staying in the spotlight. It's about knowing when to rest and still radiating light from afar. BeBe Winans. BeBe Winans, one half of the iconic gospel duo BeBe and CeCe Winans, has spent decades uplifting audiences with his rich, soulful voice and faith-driven music. As a member of the renowned Winans musical dynasty, his influence extends far beyond the church, reaching into mainstream music, Broadway, and television. With Grammy Awards and chart-topping gospel hits like Addictive Love and It's Okay, BeBe has been a pillar of inspiration for fans around the world. But even voices of faith are not immune to life's quiet storms. In recent years, BeBe has faced personal health challenges that, while not fully disclosed to the public, have significantly impacted his ability to maintain the rigorous demands of a performance career. The physical and emotional toll led him to quietly scale back from touring, recording, and frequent public appearances. Though he has never gone into detail, he has acknowledged that his well-being required him to slow down and reprioritize his life. His decision to step away was not accompanied by drama or headlines. It was a humble retreat rooted in self-care and spiritual reflection. For an artist who spent most of his life in the public eye and on stage, choosing silence over spotlight was a profound act of faith in itself. Even while out of the limelight, BeBe Winans continues to inspire. He remains active behind the scenes in music production, ministry, and mentoring the next generation of gospel artists. His story serves as a gentle but powerful reminder that sometimes stepping back is not about quitting, but about preserving the vessel through which the message flows. In protecting his health, BeBe has ensured that his voice, both literal and spiritual, can continue to impact lives for years to come. Lena Horne. Lena Horne was a trailblazer long before the term became common. As a singer, actress, and civil rights activist, she shattered racial barriers in Hollywood and Broadway, becoming one of the first black women to sign a long-term contract with a major studio. Known for her stunning voice and regal presence, Horne dazzled in films like Stormy Weather and captivated audiences in nightclubs and concert halls around the world. But behind her graceful image was a woman waging a quiet and relentless health battle that would eventually force her into retirement. For more than 25 years, Lena Horne lived with chronic lung disease, a progressive and incurable condition that made it increasingly difficult for her to breathe, let alone perform. The illness, likely exacerbated by years of working in smoky clubs and theaters, gradually wore down her stamina. Once a commanding figure on stage, Horne found herself struggling with fatigue and respiratory distress, symptoms that could no longer be hidden behind poise and professionalism. As her health deteriorated, Lena made the difficult decision to retreat from the spotlight. While fans longed for her return, she knew that continuing to perform would risk her life. She chose instead to live quietly, surrounded by family and close friends, far from the demanding schedule that once defined her career. Despite her absence from public view, her legacy remained vibrant, through her music, her activism, and the doors she opened for generations of black performers. Lena Horne passed away in 2010 at the age of 92, having lived a life full of purpose, courage, and change. Her withdrawal from the stage didn't dim her brilliance, it only added another layer of strength to a legacy that continues to shine. Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is a musical phenomenon whose genius has transcended genres, decades, and generations. Blind since shortly after birth, he defied every limitation placed before him, mastering multiple instruments and crafting timeless hits like Superstition, Isn't She Lovely, and I Just Called to Say I Love You. With 25 Grammy Awards and a place in music history secured, Stevie's impact on soul, pop, and R&B is immeasurable. But even legends like him are not immune to the slow toll of health issues that can change the course of a career. In recent years, Stevie Wonder faced a serious kidney condition that required him to undergo a life-saving kidney transplant. While the details were initially kept private, he later confirmed the news publicly in 2019 during a concert, sharing it with fans in a moment of striking vulnerability. The surgery and subsequent recovery forced him to step back from the demanding life of touring and public performance. For someone whose life had always been filled with music, the decision to pause was a significant one. Yet, Stevie handled it with the same dignity and optimism that have long defined his public persona. He emphasized gratitude, for life, for the donor, and for the chance to heal. Though his stage appearances have become rare, Stevie has continued to create and inspire from the background. His retreat from the spotlight wasn't a goodbye, but a necessary intermission to protect the body that carried such extraordinary talent for so long. Now 74, Stevie Wonder remains a symbol of resilience, reinvention, and grace. His voice may not echo through stadiums as frequently, but his legacy still rings loudly in the hearts of millions. His music endures, and so does his spirit. LaToya Jackson. LaToya Jackson, a member of the legendary Jackson family, made her mark with a career that spanned singing, modeling, and television. While she never reached the global superstardom of her siblings Michael or Janet, LaToya carved out her own path, becoming a fixture in pop culture during the 1980s and 90s with hits like Heart Don't Lie and appearances on reality TV. Her outspoken personality, distinctive style, and willingness to address personal struggles publicly kept her in the spotlight for years. But behind the fame and flamboyance, LaToya faced deep emotional and physical challenges that eventually pulled her away from the stage. Throughout her career, LaToya battled anxiety, trauma, and exhaustion brought on by decades in the public eye. She endured a highly publicized and abusive relationship with her former manager and ex-husband, which left lasting scars on her mental and physical health. Over time, the pressure of constant media attention, coupled with personal health issues that were never fully disclosed, led her to step back from performing and recording music. Rather than chase the spotlight, LaToya chose healing. She focused on rebuilding her sense of safety and peace, away from the relentless scrutiny that had defined so much of her life. Though she made occasional television appearances and supported charitable causes, her once busy entertainment career slowed significantly. Today, at 68, LaToya Jackson lives a more private and balanced life. Her decision to walk away wasn't marked by a dramatic exit but by a quiet resilience, choosing well-being over fame. In doing so, she became an example of self-preservation in an industry that rarely allows for it. Her journey is a testament to the power of survival, strength, and knowing when to step back to truly move forward. The journeys of these 25 black celebrities reveal a side of fame we don't often see: the quiet battles with illness, the tough decisions to step away, and the strength it takes to prioritize health over the spotlight. From music legends and Hollywood icons to spiritual leaders and rising stars, each story is a powerful reminder that behind the talent lies a human being facing real challenges. Which of these stories moved you the most? Were you surprised to learn about any of these health struggles? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let's honor their courage by continuing the conversation. And if you found this video insightful or inspiring, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence for more powerful stories that celebrate resilience, truth, and legacy. Your support helps us keep these important narratives alive.